I don't really care. His agent made the agreement to the contrary, and I gave money on that basis, and they accepted it through the agent on that behalf. It's simply a function of, do you know how to make and establish a claim?
Oh, I have a question.
Yes.
So you said that the agent led your client to believe in certain terms of the contract.
We're talking about the farmer's deal?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, and you said that the agent is happy to do an affidavit, so real easy. Let's say that the agent doesn't like that idea. Can we send someone like that a subpoena and say, look, I'd like you to answer these questions on penalty of perjury, send something to the man?
I don't need I'm just going to send them my affidavit in support of my understanding.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, who's my claim against? Technically, is the agent. You know, I'm going to get not only the company, I'll get the agent too.
That's true.
Now I'm coming in, I want to be fair. Look, I gave you guys the premium. It's like $5,000 a year. This is $8,000. Interestingly, that agent got a notice from the company that he may be terminated and subject to a $7,000 fine. It's a $1,000 deductible on the deal, so $8,000, so I can see where they're going with it. The company's saying, you're our agent. You didn't have any right to say and do that. This may subject you to being fired. Should he be fired?
No.
Yeah. He's responsible, isn't he? Does the sovereign make excuses? You cost our company $8,000. You sold some stuff, told the guy it was covered when it wasn't covered. It was your job as our agent. We've trained you. We sent you to school. You know better than to do that. I know you made an honest mistake, Brother Dan, but maybe, they made him an offer, right? You may be fired and subject to a $7,000 penalty. That's an offer. And all he's doing is just holding it, maybe going and talking to an attorney or being ruined the day he signed the affidavit or something. Instead of understanding commercial law, he was given an offer. He should I conditionally accept, upon proof of claim that, some kind of a deal or other, or forgive me, brother, I didn't intend to do it, I'll help pay it back, and, I don't want to be fired from the company. It was an honest mistake and my error.
Forgive me.
Forgive me. Yes.
And they are dynamic, yes, and the other side of this knows that too. Not too long recently from the credit card company, I got, and then got the fact that we're just letting you know, Dennis, that the rates are going up. So they're renegotiating with them.
There it is. Your rates are going up. What'd you do with that notice? What door does almost everybody go through? Those dirty bastards, my rate's going up, I didn't do nothing, It's just an offer.
But our concern about reopening contract, well, there's no concern because there's no time.
Yes.
So in a way, would it nullify the original contract, although there really was none? But the fact that they just opened it up again, is it a new contract?
Well, you can kill the credit card if you want. You don't have to use their credit card, right? They're not making you use it. So maybe they're going to do that. Idyllically would be, I appreciate, thank you very much. If you want to move it up, I'll be paying this account off and terminating the relationship. If you want to keep it the same, how I conditionally accept. However, if you want to keep it the same, I'll maintain the relationship and we can continue on. Please notify me in 10 days. If I don't hear from you, I will presume that the rate will stay 9% as opposed to going to 18. It's an offer. And if they move it to 18, I'll get it undone.
Which is
Plus
an
damages.
example to us all of the fact that they understand what you're saying.
Oh, these guys all know it. Walmart, they all know what see, you as laymen don't understand that. They know this stuff. These guys, it's business. There's nothing personal about it. They know it's all offer and acceptance. We just haven't had our parents teach us. We don't have the public schools teach us. And we haven't. Every man has two educations. One he receives from others, and one, more important, which he gives himself. We all have let everybody else educate us, and then we sit there and listen to radio and TV and read these wonderful fiction books, that just, we're lost in them, we're just putting our mind to sleep instead of spending our time like studying words and seeing what things mean and practicing new verbiage in our daily articulation with our brother, so that when somebody does speak something, we know exactly what they said. I used to kind of love practicing my words at the compound. I had a guard one time say she needed me to do something. If I'd do that for her, she'd give me any bunk. I was in the hall. She said, we'll let you out. We'll give you any bunk anywhere on the compound you want. I said, you will? She says, yeah. I said, okay, I'll do that for you then. And I did it for him. And I said, I want that bunk. And it's the one that I'd had, so I didn't mind where I was at. So she comes back and she goes, well, someone's already in that. It's already taken, so where else do you want to be? I said, well, what's the point in me asking you somewhere else to put you? If you couldn't do what you said the first time, why would I ask you to do something the second time? She goes, I didn't say that. I told you I would do my best. I says, who am I to disabuse you of your beliefs? She just looked at me and walked away. Disabuse is I called her a liar, is what I did. Free from fallacy. She said something. I said, who am I to free you from such stupid thinking? Fallacy, your lies. She left. She comes back about 15 minutes later. The strangest thing. Now remember, guards don't care what you think there. They take your stuff. They do this. You got nothing coming when you're in prison, but I'm on a different staff. She comes back and she goes, I got the bunk for you. I moved the guy out of it. She goes, and I want you to know that if you thought that's what I said, I wanted you to know that I'm going to do it right, because if you thought I said that, I'm going, God, this is wild. I caught a little thing on TV last night for a minute, like this lockup, and it's this guy complaining about his chest set. He's in 24-hour lockdown in this Alabama prison, and the warden took his chest set. He says, that's my only thing that keeps me happy is he has a little chess set, and he does male chess with the U.S. Chess Association stuff, and the warden took it away. He doesn't understand why. I do. Their job is to continually push you. It's got nothing to do with anything. In that prison, they just keep taking things away all the time. They come in, raid your locker, take stuff, even though they're not supposed to, just to it's what cattle drovers do with cattle. That's what they do. And it dawned on me one day, I'm out at the weight pile, and there's like 25 guys out there in the morning, like 6 a.m. We're all run out to the weight pile first as they crack the doors, and this guard comes on the pile and he goes, hey you! Of course 25 guys look, including me, and they're talking to this guy Tony over here. He goes, your name? And he goes, Gonzalez. He goes, first name, Tony. Okay. And he walks and leaves. And I got my buddy Doc. I go over and I say, hey, Tony, you know that guard? He goes, I've never seen him before. I said, you don't work for him? You don't know? He goes, I don't even know him. I go back and I say, Doc, did you see that? He goes, what? I said, what is a cattle drover? I said, what did he just do? I said, he comes in, 25 guys saw that if you just answer the question, everything will be fine. Right? So yes, when one of you were mentioning this conditioning that goes on, they just stop you and ask you questions to condition you. Yes, for your safety. Because all these gangbangers and all these kids are out doing things that are wrong and this and that. And so that's what you do with cattle. Mm-hmm. You constantly roust them and herd them and move them here and keep them doing.
Keep them in line.
Social control is best managed through fear. And what we do is brainwash and condition. The situation you and I have to overcome is a term called imprinting. Imprinting. It's really an interesting concept. Defined thusly: a learning mechanism operating very early in the life of an animal, in which a particular stimulus immediately establishes an irreversible behavior pattern with reference to the same stimulus in the future. Oh man, almost irreversible. We've been brought up, the parents say, just answer the question and this and that and the other thing, and then it's brought up through adulthood and the rest of that. It's very tough for you and I to overcome our imprinting. When I talk to people who raise horses and cats and things, they go, "Oh yeah, we imprint our animals all the time." when they're babies, they like cats, they roll them on their back and touch their feet and pads and touch them and rub them, so that when they're adults, when they do that same thing to them, they don't mind. The same with horses; they get used to being touched. So that's imprinting. It's a beautiful concept. Are we an animal? Yes, we are. So therefore, we now understand our problem. We are the problem. We've been imprinted. And so it takes us a little effort to overcome those things. And if you can get that in your mind, that judge up there is nothing but the judge watching you and your brother bat the ball back and forth. And one of the important things I wanted you to understand, and critical, it's the whole game is lost and done on procedure in this matter. When you have something to file into a court, and Juanita's the judge and over here's prosecutor, before I file with the court or simultaneously, I'm going to give my brother what I did. And I give the court that. And the court's going to see what the brother does with my request for an abatement of proceedings. It's not him that's going to give me my permission. It's my adversary that's giving the permission. He only has 4 doors to go through with my request for abatement, doesn't he? What, is he going to deny it? Not and stay in honor. Judge ain't going to cut him an inch of slack. I put my forgiveness letter in, my request for abatement of proceedings, up in probate in San Francisco, murder case in Arizona, or something in Cincinnati. It's beautiful. It works every time. They only put it in 1 day before their hearing when they wanted to debate, and they got it approved up there. It was beautiful. The judge sees that they're trying to be in honor. Even though they didn't give a requisite 3-day in advance, he sees them trying to be in honor. And based on Yanne's comment, this is a phenomenal way for me to retire in the rest. I'm telling you, if these judges see your heart's truly in the right place, you're not just saying it to say it. You actually have internalized and desire to be in harmony with your brother. He knows, he can sense, he can feel. These guys are experts at human nature. Policemen are experts at human nature. When they pull you over, and I say, he says to me, you're doing 82 miles. I say, and? May I see some identification? You say it, it's a whole different. I tell all my students, don't you go do what I do. You don't do, and let me counsel you, don't go do this till you understand what you're doing. Lots of people just run out and do something. That doesn't mean you need to thoroughly understand little stuff like this or try this. You can homework and do it along the way, but quickly as possible come up to speed to understand what you're doing so that you're not afraid. You don't have to be afraid. They're not going to take your kids. They're not going to brand you a heretic. You are a heretic. But they're not going to brand you a heretic in the negative sense. They're great. Thank God we got some heretics out here, the judges are saying. Some people that don't follow the conventional accepted rules of behavior. We have some people here that are really in the republic, or that are going to act as individuals and help save this civilization we call civilized society, because democracies will break down. Guaranteed. They have for thousands of years. This democracy in America is guaranteed to be as ugly as it was for the Israelites in Egypt. You will be making mud bricks without straw. And they will continue to take rights, etc. away. Yes?
So when you're communicating with the opposing party and you're giving them a document or whatever, or calling them to ask them if they can change the date, are you approaching them as intervener or as the defendant, and then yet you're going into court as an intervener? How does that work? Because
Tony Christensen, that's a good question.
Right.
Tony Christensen, when I came here flew to Seattle, I got in the morning, he said, Gordon, I got a hearing tomorrow morning, blah, 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 blah. And I said, Tony, when did you hear about this hearing? He said, well, I just found out. I said, well, when did you just find out about it? He says, well, I've been calling the court for days. He's still not answering me. I said, I'm going to ask you again. When did you know about it? Obviously, you knew about it days ago, 3-4 days in advance. Well, yes. He just didn't want to admit that. That's our nature. I says, call up the opposing attorney, the bank's attorney, and ask him. And he called back and left it on my machine. He gave it to me, and he was happy. And he had some other questions, but it was interesting.
Does he call him as John Stewart?
It doesn't matter. He just called him and said, hey, this is Tony Christians. Don't get all... Yeah, this is attorney. Don't get all... Just go easy on me. Hey, bank's attorney John Smith. This is Gordon Hall. We got a hearing scheduled for our brother. I didn't get a notice of that. Although I been trying to call... I found out about it just a couple days back. I've been trying to call the court. My bad. Forgive me. It's you I should have called, brother. Could you help me? Guy said, sure, we'll just put it off till the 19th the next month. The court isn't the one that approved it, it was him.
So then he's talking. Okay, so then.
So it's okay for him to just introduce himself as Gordon Hall, Tony,
Right, and then
Juanita.
go into court, and then when you're in court, then you're an intervener, and then.
That's right.
And
Well, if
they
I
know
want-
that you've talked to them as whoever, Gordon Hall.
They don't know. They just know that there's an extension. Judge sees that you and your brother worked out an extension. That's fine with a judge.
Okay.
You're always
Just
in court
wondering.
as intervener to settle the matter.
In
When
court.
I'm in that trial, so to speak, or when I'm in that front of that black robe judge,
Okay.
I'm definitely got my formal hat on big time. When I'm talking to the attorney over here, I don't need to get all weird with him.
So that's why it doesn't matter when you're calling credit card companies as well.
Nah,
Just
nah.
be who you are.
It doesn't.
Until
You
you're
could be that.
trial.
You know, it's not going to hurt anything. Yeah, they're not going to bite you. There's nothing they're going to hold against you for being that. So the credit card company, Gordon Hall, how can I help you? Is this Gordon Hall? How can I help you?
And then when
You can refer to me as Gordon if you like.
and then when you have the CID or IRS approaching you, then basically you're the agent for it.
Yeah, you ain't getting anywhere with me. You may refer to me as Gordon Hall. What do you
Right.
want?
Okay.
CID. You may refer to me as Gordon. What do you want? Well, we got a big refund check for you. I'm that Gordon. We got an indictment for Gordon as his agent. Let's see it. As intervener, or I don't have a claim yet. As his agent, what do you got? As his authorized representative, what you got? And it's funny, they try and press it, just like in Sue Taylor's deal, where the IRS was saying, hey, in the deposition, you had this much income. Did you have $50,000 income this year? Well, I bartered my labor for $50,000. What do you mean bartered? Exactly what I mean. There's something unclear about barter to you. Did I not exchange it just like at the bank? What's this writing? Is it a problem with it? Well, no. Well, what does it mean? Well, doesn't it mean kind of like exactly what it says? Am I not depositing that for credit or for exchanging of FRNs? Well, have a nice day, ladies. Just, I wasn't being snotty, wasn't being rude, but neither am I one I'm just digging into my personal business either. Just do your job, deposit it. They'd say, well, why won't you put your name on it? I'd say, well, does the law require it, or will it be deposited based on that writing on the back, as it's been done for the last year, without any question. I went into a bank to cash a check out in California, and they said, we need your thumbprint. I said, and what if I don't give you my thumbprint? He said, well, then we're not going to cash the check. I said, are you going to refuse to do this? I said, yeah. He says, yeah. I gave him the thumbprint on that one. Then I was in Chase Bank the other day, over in California, again on another check that I was doing. And they said, yeah, it's a $5 fee if you don't have an account here. I said, are you refusing to honor the check drawn on your institution? He says, that's our rules. I said, that's a $10,000 penalty. I said, can I speak to your supervisor, the manager here? They went and got the manager. I said, I understand that you don't wish to honor a check drawn on your institution. Well, we require that you have to have an account here. I said, I'm an alien. Are you suggesting that you can violate blah, 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 blah? She just looked at me. I said, it's $10,000. I said, may I have one of your cards? That'll be personally to you, to Chase Bank, and to the employee. I said, and I want to thank you very much for you being courteous and very polite, and I hope I haven't troubled you very much. And she was, you're welcome. You know, but, and so if I feel like leaning Chase up for charging me $5 on a check, I can do it, and I'll win it, because I'll have those two employees who'll be slammed.
That's because their own bank promises.
You're not going to charge me $5 for cashing a check drawn on your institution. I don't care. Well, you're refusing to honor this? I can create so much havoc for that bank, they don't have any kind of... I don't feel like it, but I might feel like getting around to doing that. Because I got her card, and the employee didn't... The teller, they don't give him cards. No, she's responsible. She's the manager, but she's just following policy. When she gets a $10,000 lien and hits her credit, how's Chase going to get it off? They're going to pay me $10,000, exactly what they're going to do if I want to do it. So you can practice all sorts of ways and times here or there. Let's answer some more of these questions. In 1933, when the Trading with the Enemy Act was changed to include U.S. citizens, why was this done? Because the states are countries. The states form the federal government for their safety and convenience. All of the state citizens, you and I, which is the state, are now giving our loyalty to a federal government. And whose flag flies over the state flag everywhere in America? The United States flag flies over the top of the state flags as of World War II, and all sorts of other things. We, the state, are disloyal to our country, California. We're giving our loyalty to a federal corporation. So the state gives a directive to their agent, wage war on these yaks. You're disloyal. What would you do? Why not? It's just another way. They came right out and said, U.S. citizens are now enemies of the state. When I tell that to people, they just ignore it. What's he talking about? That isn't it. I pay taxes. I'm not an enemy. Sure you are. And you always look into the feds, and the feds are in there trying to tell the states what to do all the time, aren't they? So you're putting your state, the republic's there and the lights are on, but nobody's home. You know, Washington couldn't wait to get out of office. It wasn't a great thing to be president and run all this stuff. It wasn't like today where you get big fees and treated like a king and all that other kind of stuff. And get to write books and all that. Public service was kind of not a lot of fun. Today it's very rewarding.
And profit.
That's what I mean by rewarding. Not mentally rewarding. You're just passing laws and doing things. You know, I mean, can you imagine? You just got a bunch of guys up there passing laws by the hundreds. Does that answer that question?
Yeah, it does. But you know, when you say, I mean, the fact that they know that they're being enemies, how come there's ever any explanation to the masses as to why we're now mistreating you because you become enemies of the state?
World Book Encyclopedia under Internal Revenue Service, none of the other encyclopedia sets has it, and it's usually only 1980 and back, says under the Internal Revenue Service, verbatim, the Internal Revenue Service administers a tax system based on voluntary cooperation. I tell that to people. And they don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
I had dinner with a lieutenant commander, attorney, 25 years in the Navy here a while back. I said, did you know that it's lawful and legal not to file and pay income taxes? He goes, I know that. I says, then why do people go to jail for not doing it? He says, that I don't know. What are they supposed to do with people that prefer partying and drugs and all the other things they do all the time? You can't get them to simply... Remember, Moses went up on Mount Sinai, came down with a higher law. There's the golden calf. They're fornicating, partying like fools. He breaks that and goes up and gets the 10 Commandments. Okay, forget telling you people, if you do this, you get this, and do this, you get all these wonderful benefits in a higher law, like I'm trying to teach you now. Listen, you people can't do this. Quit killing. Thou shalt not kill. Don't steal. Don't like. We can't. What's the point in trying to teach higher law when you can't get these people to... We got, like I told you, we got communities with half the kids dropping out of high school. We got parents. You know, I found my own father rather interesting. And I had talked to him. He used to be running, him and my mom ran a couple of John Birch societies back in the 60s and were very politically active and all of that. And I tried to tell him all the things he's doing wrong, and I tried to show my dad some neat things and stuff and why he shouldn't do it. He said, I'm too old to change. I said, don't you want to know the truth? The answer is no. People don't want to know the truth. I'm not being critical. He had his schedule every day. He was very comfortable, retired. Him and his wife they remarried. Him and his wife were just happy and fine. And they don't want to hear any of it. It was fun to hear vicariously some of my experiences. But he's just curious. Oh, that's neat. That's kind of nice. But people, it's like it's said in the movie. You can't handle the truth. People really can't handle the truth.
So basically what it is how many times can you tell these fools when they haven't even learned the original 10 rules? Say the 10 Commandments.
It's the whole point. See, the movies tell you, they come out in Theodore Roosevelt said it in the opening of the Jamestown Exposition. Govern yourself, it'll be done for you. It's been said and done in so many ways that they're just tired of telling you. We know that, and I kind of look at it, it's now accelerating. Why not? What's the point? You're all going to be slaves. Let's just get right down into pure misery. They're about getting you where that they got you softened up that they can just run anything down your throat. But how do you boil a frog?
Slowly.
If you put him in a pot of water and bring it up slowly, he'll boil it. If you throw him in a pot of hot water, boiling water, he'll jump right out. Same with the American or the public. We've got to just boil you slowly. They're tired of telling you.
You know, it seems like movies are getting more and more explicit with putting out information. I saw a movie a few months ago called The Proposal. The movie is all about contract law, honor, dishonor, following through. The beginning of the movie, there's a government agent, public servant. They think he's the enemy. At the end of the movie, they find out that he's their best friend. You know, he's here to help you.
I got to see it. How about Wanted? Did you all see Wanted?
Yes.
Angelina Jolie. Beautiful ending. Young man takes control of his life over 6 weeks. The movie's over. The assassins are all dead. He turns to the audience in the movie. Now, remember, movie's over. He turns to the audience. You're the audience in the movie screen. And he says, I've spent the last 6 weeks taking control of my life. What the fuck have you been doing? Mm-hmm. My dad is like, what the heck was this about? They got the movies telling you in Proposal, in Wizard of Oz, in Matrix, and 100 others. But do people want to learn it? It calls for coming to things like this. How many people want to take their weekend? We got a picnic in the lake to go to. It's summertime. I'm not going to a seminar and listening to some yak. Hell, that stuff's going to just get you thrown in jail anyway. Right? Yeah.
Little do they know it's to keep you out of jail.
Absolutely. And your fear about whether it might kill children, that's a valid fear. There's nothing wrong with asking these questions, and I'm not critical of them or making light of them. That's why you're here. That's huge. You're here doing something about, or attempting to do something about it. And I'm hoping to give you that's really, it's really so uncomplicated that you can get it. The lay person, I want to encourage you. This is a little Greek at first. This is why a lot of people come down for immersion program or get more. You need some more of it, but if you get a little more of it, you're going to be, the lights are going to start clicking on. I've got students that I tell people, the average people, normal people like you, can get a good grasp of this and able to implement it and do really rather well with it with 2 to 8 months of putting some effort into this. Now, I've got one student that went into the mentor program, came for an immersion, did another immersion today, and it's 2.5 weeks, loaded up on it. He's got it. At least how to do it, what to do, what the game is, offer and accept. He's got all that. What he doesn't have yet is he's got to overcome his fear of going after his money with the DEA agents, putting them personally on the line. They're not going to do anything to him, in my opinion. They will honor him if he does the right thing. If he continues to try and be an honor, there's nothing wrong with that.
What is the mentor program?
I sign people up for $2,500 a month, and they can talk to me. 1 to 3 hours twice a week, phone calls. I send them material, get on the phone, put them in with conversations with other of my people to hear things and help them speed up their learning. Otherwise, you can have all our we give you all free, all of our stuff on the CIC site. This should be put on CIC. All of the ones I do is all free for y'all. But there is some difference when I'm here explaining it to you. It has a little different impact. It has even a more major impact if you can spend 2, 3, 4 days with me 24/7 riding around, hear me handle people's problems. You go, God, I see it. And I'm typing up stuff or doing it, and you're going, I got it now, I got it.
What do you recommend that we do after this to follow up?
What's up to you?
What would be the next thing? What would be the next step?
Immersion.
Well, you all have a couple of choices. This is a seminar fee to come up here. I would encourage you. You can either get in the mentorship program or have me come up here once a month, get another 10, 20, 30 people, have them kick in. And what would it cost me to come up here on a weekend? If you got 50, it's $100. I'm in here for 24 hours for you guys? $100 is $4 an hour. That's pretty cheap. You're each kicking in $4 an hour to hear this stuff direct, bringing you samples, workshop programs, whatever you'd like. Because
Sounds cool.
you know, we could have a workshop, or you can take some of these things. We can do a workshop. Okay, let's take your problem. Or we have a Visa card. Here's one. Let's lay it out. Here's what we do. Everybody, here's the blanks. Here's the one we do. We can do that if you want, but really, it's up to you. I can just give it to you. It's free. I'm not going to charge you for it. Or you can get into a mentorship program, or try and have a seminar up here once or twice a month. You know, if you had 50 people, it costs you all $100. If you had 25 people, it's going to be half that or twice that. You know, then that's $10 now. What are you going to pay for this information? It only cost me 8.10 years, 30 million, a wife, and a few other things. And I think I got a great deal.
As you start to get busy, are you taking on bigger and bigger cases, or I mean?
Well, you know what's the coolest thing about these cases? They're not overly difficult. None of them are. That's the greatest thing about it. They're just easy cases. The murder case isn't anything I can do for that guy except answer the stuff, and he's got to learn and listen to the tapes and get with the program. The docs, the two docs up in Cincinnati, they work back and forth together all the time. And I hook them up with other students. And they practice together and play judge and this and that. And then I came up with something much more simpler here last week. I told Jack, I says, Jack, I think based on this, we don't need all these conditional acceptances. They put in their thing. That's our mantra. They just stick on it. He says, I agree. It just got a lot simpler. So these cases are going to be even way simpler. Doing the paperwork is not inordinately difficult. You know, a couple examples. A guy can take his own indictment, put it together. I just buff it up and it's done. And then game on. Now it's back and forth. He's got to be able to stand up. And we've got more and more transcripts of the docs doing it in this state case and that case, and 11 pages of Q&A and this and that, and you figure your own, and pretty soon you go, I got it. Can't exactly smoothly do it, but you can take your notes into court and you start rolling. To people that have indictments, like the docs down, they don't have a choice. I say, you don't got a choice. You just got to roll. I have a couple of clients that took plea deals instead, but one of them now out of Colorado, a gal who's got a lot of backbone, she says, I can't deal with this supervised release. They're just making her miserable. She has a license as a psychologist, and now they're talking about taking her license away when her attorney told her, when she said, she pled it down to a misdemeanor. No jail time, nothing.
Wait a minute, why are
It's
they
over
going-
state taxes.
Can you say more about that? Why are they going to take away her license?
Well, this is what it is. She's a psychologist. She didn't file some state taxes. She got charges. They brought it. She ended up pleading out to the deal, paid half of the taxes down. She still owes them $15,000. She can pay that. Well, her attorney told her when they went to her original, when you're a professional like that, you have to report it to the ethics board or whatever. And the board said, her attorney, they said, no problem with it or anything like that. It doesn't look like it's a misdemeanor. If it's a misdemeanor and it didn't have anything to do with being a psychologist, doesn't affect your job, anything, then no big deal. Now that she's pled out, got the fine taken care of, gone on to supervised release, all of a sudden the attorney has said, well, it looks like this might be a problem, and she goes, God, this guy's saying a whole different thing. They're going to be reviewing my license over a misdemeanor. I said, it's all offer and acceptance, darling. She says, I can't deal with this. Because they want her to do this and got a report and got that. They're just loading her up with a ton of stuff on a supervised release. You know, like crazy stuff. Really are. And now they're threatening her license, and now she's all upset over it. And so she wants to do something about it. She says, I can't do this. I says, remember, you have 2 felonies in abeyance that if you fail on it, they could bring him back alive, and then you may do this. She says, well, I can't do this. I'm ready to risk that. There you go. Me, when I got out, do you think I just got done doing 8 years? Do you think I wanted to risk another 6 years in on supervised? Boy, that's bad. But I just said, man, I can't do this. I can't be a slave. Life is not that dear to me. I really would, let's go. Let's see what you got. I'm either going to do life in prison or I'm going to beat this thing. And if I really get pissed off, then I just soon let's escalate it because I don't mind dying because I'm not living like this. I'm not doing it. I don't want to cause anybody any harm. I don't want to do anything. Just kill me. I just need to frick out of here. I'm not doing this. Life isn't that dear to me to be a slave. So, not like what they're doing to this. And this guy I'm doing, this new student, yeah, man. They're not letting. He can't move in with his girlfriend. He can't do this. He can't. God, it's crazy stuff. I had a guy that I was in jail with at Terminal Island. It was real interesting. He calls me up and says, "Hey, this is Doug. Do you remember me?" I says, "Nope." He says, "Well, I did time with you." I said, "I still don't remember, Bob." I said, "I don't remember you, Doug, but tell me what the deal is, brother." He says, "Well, I'm on supervised release, and at my mom's home, I have a room at the house, and the supervised release people came to the door the other day with a couple of policemen, and they bullied their way in, coerced my mom into letting her come in. They went in my room, they took my computer hard drive and the $50 bill that was in there, and my computer. They took a separate hard drive and that. Now he had done some time for counterfeiting, and that's what they just came and they took it. No warrant, no nothing. And probation doesn't allow for that. So he calls me up, says, "What do I have to put up? Is that legal?" I said, "Not at all." I said, "It's whatever you agreed to on probation." I said, "I got one probation buddy that's on, and when they came and they started searching," he says, "What do you think you're doing?" He says, "Well, I'm just looking." He says, "Probation contract, I looked up your rights." He says, "You don't have a right to touch anything. Move clothes aside, look in a drawer." And the guy backed right off. And then he wanted this guy's like a Rambo type, so Army guy, he wants to go to Burma or wherever they're doing this stuff. So he tells his probation guy, he says, "I'm going to Burma 3 months from now." He says, "No, I says," he goes, "You figure it out. I'm going." With guns and teaching, and that's what he did. He came back, no problem. I mean, it's amazing. But this young man, Doug, he says, "There's something I can do." I says, "Well, yes, there is." But I says, "You got to be careful because you're on supervised release, dude. They can revoke it or make up a story and revoke it." I said, "That's what you have to weigh." He says, "What do you suggest I do?" I said, "Were it me, I'd call him up and say, by what authority did you seize my private property?" So he went ahead and took that up. And he's a total layman, so he just calls the supervisor. "You were at my mother's home, you went into my stuff, you took this, this, and this." "Yes. And if you want it back, you're going to have to go to court to get it." He says, "By what authority did you take my private property?" The guy said, "Just a minute." Got the supervisor on the phone. He went a little bit round and round gently with the supervisor, not too hard. "By what authority? By what authority?" The guy says, "You want to give it, by what authority did you take it?" A couple of days later, they returned everything. They're going to do that to you. If you put up with it, they're going to keep continuing to go outside of their bounds. What do you think any junkyard dog is going to do that you don't properly train? Any servant you don't properly train. That dog might bite you, but my dog ain't going to bite me. He knows what's going to happen to him. He inherently knows. I'm going to kill that mutt. I'm going to do him in. I'm not going to kill these servants by any stretch. I'm going to jam them up commercially. Well, that's not very forgiving. Well, au contraire, I think it's perfectly okay. Spoil the rod, spare the rod, spoil the child. I'm not doing it because I want to be mean to them. They're going to do their job when it comes to me and leave me and mine alone. Or it's going to cost them. That's all. So, let's get back to some of these questions here. Endorsing checks, deposit for and cancellation Canadian banknote. What's the question there?
I think you covered it.
Okay, deposited
for credit and exchange for FRA.
Deposited for credit or exchange for Canadian banknotes.
And what's the reason that you do it that way?
I don't want my personal signature on the back making me liable on that instrument.
Can you just clarify exchange? Is it exchanged? Because is it deposited in either case, or is it just...
No, I'm depositing that check for credit. Credit my account some money. Or exchanging it for Federal Reserve notes when I go take the money out. So, right? See? So it's just one or the other. Yes?
I've always written on the back of my check when I've never signed off, always said deposit only to our account.
That's okay. Doesn't hurt a thing either. Just so my signature isn't on there. Deposit only for the account. Whatever, doesn't matter. for deposit only, whatever. I just don't want my signature on the back of the check. Because that can be deemed income or spreading more liability instruments out there. The reason for not wanting to endorse with signature is because you do not want to be liable. That's right.
Oh, that old
Yeah.
farm, that you can do that later, whatever you want.
Yeah, I just... Okay, that's an issue we can talk about a little later on. Yo.
What's the difference between endorse and endorse?
Very good. Endorse is a Latin term, endorso, on the back. And endorse, I forgot what it was. I think they say it's, doesn't matter anyway, but let's see if I can get a little enlightenment on it if you'd like real quick. Endorse is on upon, to write on the back of a document, to make a check payable to another person by thus signing one's name and specifying the payee, to write a note, title, etc. on document, to give approval to, support. I'm not so sure there's any real difference. There's nothing. I remember trying to study these two words before, and I couldn't really decipher any meaningful difference for me whether I'm endorsing or it's an endorsement.
Is there any significance to signing on the back of a document? Why on the back and not on its face, or is it interchangeable?
Well, on a check, that's what you do. You endorse it and make payable because there's nowhere on the front of the
Do we
check.
know the reasoning for that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I've heard that if you have a commercial piece of paper isn't a commercial piece of paper until something is on the back.
It's very possible.
So I've even taken put a stamp on there, just put a Z on the back.
Yeah, I've done that. Where we?
Sign over a stamp.
Zorro.
Well, no, just.
He's eliminating all the space there, so nobody can write something in between it.
Yeah, so if somebody grabs and puts in their terms and conditions on there, no, you don't get a chance to do it. I've got the last word.
You know, you get an indictment, and it's every other page is blank, right?
Really?
Well, isn't it? It's just on the front side.
Oh yeah, okay.
So every other page is blank. That's called. This is a leaf made up of 2 pages,
Right.
isn't it? So strictly speaking, somebody's giving you a document that's got something written on it, a big blank spot, something written on another big blank spot. Kind of interesting. But since it all doesn't matter anyway, do you write on the front or on the back or whatever? No matter if we endorse some let's talk about conditional acceptances for a moment. I think we asked about that yesterday.
No, we talked about it. Remember?
Huh?
We discussed it about
All
the
right.
leaf of paper, the statement, the presentment.
It's kind of important that you just simply get down to the basics and simplistics of this offer and acceptance, contract law, and what constitutes contract, etc., as it relates to you, so you can start getting remedy in your lives.
Wouldn't it be more important what you understand it to be? And then if you understand it, this word means this, can you not enforce it that way? So when you enter
If
the
you know how to
contract-
enforce a contract,
if you enter the contract with that understanding, even though somebody says, "Oh no, it doesn't mean that," well, that's what, just like the guy who.
well, you want to have sometimes a memorialization of your agreement is important, because a lay person and even yourself always is not accurate about what you remember on something.
Sure.
So in a lot of contracts, they'll have definitions at the top, what the words contract mean.
Sure. But a contract can get longer and longer until it's like what the standard, decent contract, like 30, 40 pages, and the attorneys have accomplished what they want to. I've got some students over in California that own a cabaret, and a real nice couple, and they're doing contract with their dancers. And they said, they've been using attorneys to do it, and they got some legalese, and they said, what does this thing mean? I said, well, when I look at that, it says, sounds like it's open for litigation heavily. He says, sounds to me. I said, get rid of the attorney or write it yourself. What do you want to agree to with these people? Because what's been happening is these dancers have been filing lawsuits after working their years saying that they're really employees and not contract people. You know, so they don't want to be taking taxes out of their check, providing them benefits, all those kinds of things. So I said, well, then make the contract the way you want it. My health club contract used to be, this was the length of my contract at the health club I had. It was a half a page in big print. And a lot of the clubs today, they managed to get it all on legal size and fine print on one page, but I kind of like, you try and do it. But in reality, you know, I just put it down to you're a member, you take responsibility for yourself. If you're liable, you won't look to us. You know, so you're taking full responsibility. And in all the years I had the club, there was only like one lawsuit we had, and that was over an old guy that had cut across the pool slip and broke his hip. He said, man, I'm really sorry. My insurance company wants to sue you guys because I'm claiming my insurance company. He said, I wouldn't. It's my fault. I cut across the edge of the pool off the mats. He slipped and broke my hip. So, but, you know, I always found that if you just brutally say it, and boom, you're responsible for it. A lot of people say, well, you can't be contract law. The state rules say this, and you got to be doing this. I says, bull. I said, a contract, well, that's again, can any state pass any law impairing the obligation of contract? And where were you bonded to take money out of people's checks and send it to the IRS? FICA, Social Security, all that matching stuff that a lot of employers take out. A lot of people don't understand that Sunbeam Corporation in America used to never take anything out of all their employees' checks. They did Sunbeam blenders and all that kind of thing. They were once a real household name. But they never took anything out of there. They had a contract with their employees.
Otherwise, it would be theft from account.
Yeah. And this is why some guys go to jail, because they don't forward the payroll taxes right forward. They keep it and float their company while they're trying to get alive, and they find themselves in big trouble. Because, yeah, they did steal money that didn't belong to them.
I have a question about that, signing the back of a check. If you make a conditional endorsement like that, you're still liable for the value of the check, aren't you? If you say, I'm exchanging this for credit on my account.
Not at all. It's just exchange, just deposited for credit.
Yeah, but you're endorsing it as a conditional endorsement. They can only use it in certain ways, but you're saying it's a good check.
No, there's no signature.
You're making. Oh, you don't sign it at all. You just stamp that.
Yeah, there's no signature underneath deposit for credit. It's just like Jane does, you know, just deposit for credit on account or deposit for to the account only. Or
I remember
whatever.
somebody asked Brandon about that, and he said he thinks that keeps the bank from being able to then fractionalize the money or something.
What do I care what the bank does with it? You know, people think they're doing this or that. I don't care what they do. Just put the thing in there, and I just don't want to be liable, have a problem with the IRS or something, or if I don't need to put my signature. Your signature is valuable, so I just don't indiscriminately give it away if I don't have to. I understand that whenever it's being used or you use it, you're entering into some contract of some kind. Because it's not real important to me to understand any more than the basics of it. I haven't dug into it, and I kind of work sometimes with fuzzy logic, meaning it's not important that I know certain things. Some stuff, it's real important I understand contracts, because to me that's the whole game. Do I need to know whether this promissory note's worded just perfectly or this or that or got just this right stamp? Nah, man, did they keep it? The ant margin, did they keep it? That's all I want to know. Because based on my understanding
if you start claiming OID funds and things, then maybe you need to know what you're doing with your bank accounts and stuff.
That you better know.
Yeah.
Of course, my attitude is the IRS gave the money, then we got an agreement. What are you coming back for? I don't care if it's right or wrong. I sent you something, based it on this, you gave me the money, wasn't that our agreement?
There you go.
Good enough.
There you go.
They just want to know whether you can keep your agreement or not. And I find this kind of interesting that, in 1999 that the IRS started on the back of the Social Security card and OIDs are getting known. And I mean, there's things changing. I think they're going to bring heavier and nastier rules to people, and they're also going to bring more and more benefits for you all to do it. How many people are not hearing about discharging of mortgages and OID money. Boy, that's out there everywhere. How many people want nothing to do with it? God, if I heard free money, I know there's no such thing as a free lunch, but there isn't. You got to study, you got to fill out forms. It's not going to be free. Never was anyway. To some degree, there's some risk there. The IRS might come pounding on your door and want to know what's this about.
I think in the future, our knowledge will be worth money to us.
That's an understatement.
Yeah.
Proverbs 3:13, more valuable than gold or silver and all the things thou canst desire.
Yeah.
This stuff you take with you into the eternities.
Yeah.
This is something you use in your daily life. This stuff, this contracts, these basic stuff, is going to do wonders for you and your friends if you can teach them. If you can find some people to teach or work among each other, work through problems, that's when you really start learning. So it isn't going to take you, like I said, but like 2 to 6 or 8 months top to become proficient. I didn't say just get by. Pretty darn proficient at this.
Yeah, and then project a few more years into the future as you're warmer. Money.
But this is going to get easier for you. You're going to take these road answers like a frivolous letter. I'm not going to sit there and come up with one. I got one on the CIC site. Here's a standard for a frivolous one. Here's a guy get terminated. Here's a format for doing that. Pretty soon you're just going to be plug in and plug out.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to get like really easy. And we're getting this down to once you've got the concept. Somebody gave you an offer.
As long as you're not double-minded when they test you.
Well, that's what you have to do. You now know the problem. You have to overcome your imprinting, your brainwashing. And that won't be easy. It's not easy for me, you, or any of us. Once you understand that, then you can say, okay, now I've defined the problem. It's half solved. Now I can work on it. I know what I need to do. And therefore, I know I need to practice it with the mailman, with this person. Did you get your mail last week? Did you deliver it? Well, no, I was on vacation. Well, how could I have got it then? Well, I just wondered if the other mailman. Was there one on? I was wondering where my mail was. You know what I mean? Just start learning to ask questions with anybody that asks you anything. And pretty soon it'll come natural to you real quick to ask a question with a question. Somebody asks you a question, policeman, you're just going to go. And I will tell you this before we take a break. There's 2 road answers that almost work 90% of the time you ever get in a jam. Why, W-H-Y, and by what authority. That'll work like 90%, maybe even a little more of the time. Might get kind of stupid sound, but it might, if you get jammed up, just ask why. Cop says, what are you doing here? Why? I'm giving you an order. By what authority? I like to know where he thinks he's giving me an order from. But that's okay. He's just like a customer at a food restaurant. He's giving you, the waiter, an order. Do you want to fill it? That's all he says when he's giving you an order. Let's take a break. What time is it?